Would I be the a-hole for telling my sister I won't attend her wedding because I hate her fiancé? Original post. Older sister Brooke, 32 female, fiancé Mark, 32 male, me, no nickname necessary, 25 female, younger sister Jenny, 22 female. My sister, call her Brooke, has been together with Mark since freshman year of high school. As far as I understand it, they did not want to get married initially because Brooke is vehemently child-free. And Mark agrees with her, but they have decided to hold a wedding and commitment ceremony next spring after a lot of years of back and forth. The problem is I've known Mark since I was a kid. He started coming around to the house a lot when he and Brooke were sophomores in high school, so I was 8 or so when I first met him as Brooke's boyfriend, and I have basically hated him the whole time. I've tried to be polite, particularly now that we are all adults, but I just don't want to go to the wedding of my sister and the guy that she's always put before her family. As an example, when Brooke and Mark started dating, Brooke went from eating dinner at home with the rest of us every night to going out 2 or 3 times a week with Mark and his friends. This was against her parents' rules and caused a lot of arguments that negatively impacted both me and our younger sister Jenny, who was barely in kindergarten at the time and didn't understand what was going on. Brooke and her parents started fighting basically every night, and it was incredibly disruptive to our home life. My sister went from being my best friend to a stranger, and Mark was the one encouraging it. The stress of those years was so bad that I had to repeat 4th grade, failed math, and I was bullied really badly for that. I stopped going to school looking nice because there was so much tension in the home that no one was paying attention to whether or not I had clean clothes. Jenny also struggled academically and socially, but I was able to step in and help her more with things like getting dressed and packing her lunch, so she doesn't remember those years as negatively as I do. Of course, as soon as Brooke and Mark graduated, he convinced her to move across the country to go to college. Our parents were really hurt by this, and there were a few years where she didn't even come home over Christmas or summers. Eventually, things cooled down when I was in high school, and Brooke started making more contact with her family. But Mark would do things like glare at her parents over the dinner table and suddenly declare that it was time for them to go. I don't think I should have to go to the wedding of my sister and this guy that stole her from us, and I am planning on RSVP'ing no when the time comes. Our family has been minimally involved in wedding planning, and I'm not in the bridal party or anything like that. They're all friends with Brooke and Mark from the hospital where they work. Would I be the a-hole? Now for the top of comments before reading the update. I think you're being childish and petty over stupid shit. I think it's insane that one of your examples is she wasn't eating at home as often. Frankly, you are blaming your sister for shit you aren't even entitled to. You failed math. No one else made you do that. Your parents sound just as immature. Why aren't you blaming them for creating a toxic home life? Why aren't you mad at them that you had to take care of your younger sister? She's their child. The way you talk, it's like you feel ownership over her instead of being an individual. It's weird. It's like grow up and get over it. Jeez, you are the a-hole. Honestly, I read the whole thing twice to find where Mark actually did anything bad to OP. I still haven't found it. After reading OP's parents sounds like tools making a mountain out of a molehill. It's no wonder Brooke ran for it when the opportunity came for her to move out. No one in my family cared enough to make sure that I had clean clothes for school. Clearly, this is the fault of a high school sophomore who is not related to my family. Edit. I am getting a lot of feedback that Brooke was potentially parentified. If anyone has recommendations for podcasts or books about that, I would appreciate it. I think I need to learn more about her experiences before I decide about the wedding, since we did used to be close, and it would be unfortunate to lose the relationship entirely, which is what some commenters think will happen if I skip the wedding. Thank you. Edit 2. Please stop attacking my parents. They have their faults, but they did not have many resources when we were young. It's important to me to support them now that they are older and can't work, but I also want to support Brooke and understand better now that I have not been handling this in a mature way. I will be apologizing to her and asking for more of her perspective on things from our childhood. I'm going to stop reading now, but I appreciate your help. Thank you. Now for the update. Update 1. My sister left home after high school, and for a long time I blamed her and her boyfriend, now fiancé, for that. I want to learn more about their parentification and if her experiences growing up, because I am starting to understand that her parents were not fair to her and put a lot of unreasonable caregiving responsibilities on her. She did most of the cooking, laundry, and helping me and my younger sister with her schoolwork, while my parents were busy working long shifts at their jobs. But I do not want to trigger her, and I think this period of her life was probably very difficult. How do I start this conversation with her? What question should I ask? If there is a good opportunity to apologize, what should I say? Thank you for your help. Edit/update. I decided to talk to my younger sister first, so I texted her this morning and asked if she could call me to talk about her older parents. She did, and I started off by asking her what she thought about her parents generally and how they handled the Brooke and Mark situation more generally. I'll use the nicknames from the other post, but this less aren't their real names. We had a good conversation, the details of which I won't share, but the general tone was that yes, my younger sister thinks our parents put way too much responsibility on me and Brooke for raising her, and that she plans to keep firm boundaries with them as she finishes school and starts working. I asked her about the money she sends home and told her that if it was a financial burden on her, she should stop. She said that she never sends more than she can afford and that she wants to do it since she does not want to come home and do the caregiving tasks that I'm doing for them. She also asked me about my plans for the future, and I told her that I don't know, but that I eventually want to have the nursing assistant credential and work more hours outside of the home. Apparently she and Brooke have also had some conversations about her parents' finances, and they have a pact that when they die, which hopefully won't be for a long time, that I can inherit the house solo even if they are given shares of it in the will, which I appreciate a lot. I now feel more comfortable with what I will want to say and ask Brooke, and I think it was a good idea to talk to Jenny first. Jenny told me that Brooke isn't mad at me and will like to hear from me, which is a big relief. Final update. I really appreciate everyone who's commented on both posts. Thank you for your feedback and help deconstructing the situation. I talked to Brooke Tuesday night after my parents went to bed, and it was really beneficial for both of us, I think. I apologized profusely for how bitter I've been over things that had happened when we were younger, and for how I've treated Mark when he's been such a strong support for her all these years. Brooke accepted the apology for herself and Mark's behalf and also offered to give me Mark's cell number so that we could start to build up more of our own relationship. Brooke also shed some light on more contacts for those rough teenage years. Like some of you predicted, she did really find solace in Mark from all the pressure at home, and in particular the pressure to go to church, dress and act the way the church demands, and pretend to believe in the things that she disagrees with. She and my parents would argue over new beliefs she formed from conversations with Mark, including some science-denying opinions that I was surprised to hear my parents used to believe in. At this point, they are much stronger believers in secular medicine, probably due to increased medical issues that they've needed to treat, but apparently when Brooke was growing up, they only supported homeopathy and natural medicines. She also found it interesting to hear some of my perspective on how her parents have changed as they have gotten older. Since I am their primary caregiver, I have spent more time with them than either Brooke or Jenny, and I have witnessed a lot of positive changes in them over the years. She was also interested in my plans for the future beyond her parents, and was touched that I wanted to try and pursue nursing like her eventually. I'm going to try and learn more about personal finance, and Brooke is willing to help me by sharing her journey there, and I'm hoping that this will help me to save up more of a nest egg for the future. In terms of therapy, I do like my current therapist, who is a licensed social worker, since he has some really useful recommendations for how to take care of my parents while taking care of myself and avoiding burnout without being creepy about trying to get me to date in our small town. I will also check out text therapy though, since that might be a nice option to give me more contact with the outside world of our very small country community. And this whole exercise has really illuminated the benefits and the cons, but the benefits outweigh them, of getting an outside perspective on some problems. I think me and Brooke will have a much better relationship moving forward, and I also think going through this process has helped clarify some priorities for me that is incredibly valuable. Thank you all for your help. Story 2. My dad is having an affair with someone who is my age plus update. Original post. I am kind of reeling. My mom doesn't want to talk about it and just says I don't understand what it means to be married. Maybe I don't, but I really don't think this is right. My dad, 49 male, and my mom, 47 female, have been married for 20 plus years. They have me, 21 male, and my younger siblings. They don't want to get into siblings' age and gender as they don't know anything about this. They're younger though. Sibling was diagnosed with cancer 8 years ago, and it was a big journey to make sure that sibling got through it. It took a big toll on the whole family. My mom gave up her job to look after sibling full time. It's been over 2 years back and forth, but we got lucky. Sibling is thriving now. My dad has a high-powered job and has always worked a lot of hours, but he always made it home for dinner. But then about a year into siblings' treatment, he started working late or going to the golf club at night at least once a week. Then over time, it's been 2 nights, and for the past few years, it's been half the week. It was always sort of clear that siblings' illness didn't exactly bring our parents together. My mom got really into that, and to be honest, she has always been present for me emotionally, but sibling was so unwell that I just kind of got it. She's been great ever since. I asked my mom a few years ago if she and dad were happy, and she said that marriage is more than just romance and rainbows, and that they had a life together, which didn't really answer my question, or maybe it did. About a year ago, I finally twigged that my dad was having an affair, and it had been going on for a while. Basically, I found a document that indicated that he rents a flat on the other side of town. There was just this moment when I realized that my mom saw it kind of sink in, and she just shook her head and didn't say anything. 2 days ago, I found out who his mistress was. It's a girl who was in my class at school, Izzy. Actually used to go out with my best friend from ages 14 to 16. My friend was distraught when she broke up with him. It seems like she did this because she had met my dad, rented a flat, and they'd been having an affair for 5 years. I confronted my dad, and he just told me that it was none of my business, that his relationship with my mother had evolved when sibling got sick, and that his sexual needs had upgraded, and that Izzy can meet them in a way that my mother cannot. What the F? He said that my mother confirmed that he told my mom that he was planning to have an affair with Izzy before it started, and that ground rules were set so that Izzy couldn't come to our house, that he would still be home at X number of nights a week, and that no more than blank would be spent on Izzy. My mother gave her permission, and that's been the situation ever since. My mother just said she didn't want to discuss it and that relationships change over time. My dad said that he would go and stay in his flat for the rest of the week while I cooled off, but that he would come back on Monday and that we wouldn't be talking about it again. I've been living at home during the pandemic as my university has been shut down and I haven't exactly got anywhere else to go. Plus, my mom doesn't want me to go, and sibling is still in school and doesn't know anything about this. I'm physically kind of nauseous about this whole thing, and I don't want anyone to know. My dad is just a total creep. I hadn't spoke to Izzy in a long time, but I remember her as a really quiet and very clever type. She is also very beautiful. Her parents had a very messy divorce during the last couple years at school, and I remember her being very upset about it. I can't believe that she's put in 5 years of her life into this. My friend really loved her. He spent a good 2 years trying to win her back. I don't know what to do. I need a roof over my head, but I don't want to look at my dad's smug face again. I hate how my mother can't meet my eye. I feel like sibling knows something's up, and I don't want to lie. It's like the house I thought was made of bricks was just made of straw, but I don't know what if I have the spine to blow the whole thing down. Would we be better off? Internet people, fresh perspective appreciated. Now for the top of comments before reading the update. So they started dating at 16 and 44? Yeah, not sure what the age of consent laws are in your area, but that's not cool. Sounds like he may have groomed her and taken advantage of her family's situation, making her vulnerable. It's technically not your business, and there's not much you can say, as they're adults and it's their marriage. All you can do is tell them how it makes you feel and how this will impact your relationships with them. Personally, I'd go no contact with my dad and low contact with my mom because I couldn't handle it, but that's up to you. Take some time, think about how you want your life to be, and make a decision without burning bridges. It's legal here in the UK, but morally, it's very wrong. Agree with all the comments that your dad's actions are reprehensible. In terms of advice, the best that you can do is focus on the future. Help your mom achieve more independence, encouraging her to get a job. Maybe you can find a resume reviewing firm to help her have that confidence. And as restrictions lift, to get out and make more connections via hobbies, yoga, book clubs, charity work, etc. The more her life is outside of your dad, the more strength that she will find to move on. You can also help her research to make sure she has a good lawyer. Your dad is draining their joint assets. That's her retirement fund paying your ex-friends rent and vacations. Even if she doesn't want to separate now, she should take advice on her situation, particularly regarding finances. For yourself, you can choose the future relationship with your dad. It is, of course, changed now. His actions stepping away from his family when you needed him most are massively selfish. You can do your best to create space from him without being confrontational for now, if that would be best for your mom and sibling. But anger is natural. You're perfectly justified in feeling that way, and you don't need to have a relationship with him in the future if you don't wish to. I think the pandemic has definitely not helped my mom's self-esteem. This is good advice. I don't want to force her into doing anything, and I feel like she's clinging on to this life where she is just being humiliated by my dad. I think, though, that as a family, we have all benefited from him being a high roller in terms of salary. I have had a lot of great opportunities. If I break contact with him, I will feel ungrateful, but I also don't feel like I can be around him anymore and be a morally consistent human being. Is that really snowflake generation thing to say? I really think that that's what he's done is beyond gross. Now for the update. To the people who said that my dad is a cool dude who is killing it and that I was jealous, I suggest seeking therapy for your tortured self-esteem issues. To the people who said that it was an open marriage and / a fetish for my mother too, nah. I get that polygamy may be a good thing for some people, but I think that's often about one person being selfish at the expense of the feelings of their partner. It has become very clear that this has been what's happening here. In the end, sibling found out what was happening. I told her that I posted and she said thank you for protecting her privacy, but she was fine with people knowing her age and gender. So yeah, she's a girl and she's a teenager, and I realized that my instinct is to protect her from back when she was ill, but she's actually one of the strongest and most resilient people that I know, and she doesn't really need it. When Dad came home, Sibling and I confronted him again. He was a bit freaked out that Sibling now knew it too. He explained it all again. He met Izzy and became transfixed by her barf, and so he told her that he would like to start a relationship. He said that he started by meeting Izzy for coffee to work out ground rules with her, and that he also worked out ground rules with my mother, but when Sibling pushed, he admitted that he had told my mother that he would want a divorce if she stood in the way. It really does sound like the freaking weirdest adultery that I've ever heard of. Not that I actually ever met anyone else who's cheated. During the time that he and Izzy were talking, Dad found a flat and furnished it for their meetings. Given that over time Dad has been increasingly absent, Sibling pushed again for an explanation, and he said it started off one evening a week, after which he dropped Izzy back at her parents', but over time they started staying over together for special occasions, and then every week until there were now where he's been there half the week and the other half with her. He also said that the flat that they use now is not the same one that they started out with, because it's now one that Izzy lives in full time, while the one that they had for the first few years was just a bed sit. He finally admitted that he has consistently gone over the budget that he agreed to my mother with that he would be spending on his affair. Sibling told him that she wasn't happy staying under his roof anymore and packed up to go stay with her boyfriend. She told her mom that she loves her and will be back when Dad is gone. My mother kind of freaked out and asked her not to go, but Sibling just said again that she wants nothing to do with her father, and she took her case and walked out the door. I ended up confessing all to the girl that I'd been seeing for a few weeks, and I fled there too. I was really hesitant as my situation is extremely new, and I hadn't wanted to give her the impression that I'm some gross guy like my dad. She turned out to be very understanding, but I've promised that this is a very short-term fix. A friend of the girl that I'm seeing apparently has a room coming free in his house share, and I'm about 95% sure that I'll be moving there at the start of May. Affording it may be tricky, but I will make it work. Back at the homestead, sibling has been in touch with our maternal uncle, who I think is stepping in to lay down the law to my mom that she needs to kickstart a divorce because this situation is utterly unacceptable. If we were in America, Dad would have been liable for criminal charges. I'm worried about burning down the house, but the house has already been pretty much on fire. My parents will be separating even if people who love my mother have to step in directly. Someone commented about boiling frog syndrome, and I think my mother is very much a little boiled frog, but I'm very hopeful that we can extricate her from this situation to a more positive way of being. And ultimately, I drafted a text message to Izzy, as I think I have her number stored in my phone. Thoughts on whether it would be wise to send it would be appreciated. Hi, Izzy, my name here. My dad's probably told you that the family are now well aware about your involvement with him. I just want to make it clear that we bear no ill will towards you personally, and that we wish you a brighter tomorrow. My dad's selfishness should not dictate your destiny, and I hope you find your way to a future that does not include him. Now for the comments. Yeah, bro, divorce is better here, and your father is a remorseless cheater, and staying with your mom, we are here to help you anytime. And did you tell that girl's parents about their affair? If not, tell them too. Stay safe. Same text message to Izzy as before. Why are you even caring about this Izzy? That she knows he is married. Tell everyone, let them face the consequences that she's having an affair with a 40-plus old person, and she knew she will never marry your dad, but she continued it knowing that there is no future with him hurting your mom. In my words, tell her to screw off. Stop forgiving the people who know exactly what they are doing is wrong. Good luck, OP. This started when she was 16 or earlier. The dad groomed her and she has a terrible background. The perfect target for a predator. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.